We were looking and talking about in the last video, what does it take to get students to move from extrinsic motivation to intrinsic if they're not already there. And I left you with that to think about. But now I'm going to talk some more about that, how we can get students who were not originally intrinsically motivated, so that we felt like we had to use extrinsic rewards. How do we move them over time to feeling a sense of self-motivation? So let's look at some of the things teachers can do to move from the extrinsic to the intrinsic motivation for students. One thing is to think about helping students learn to be self-regulating in their behavior, in their work habits, in their attitudes. Can you regulate yourself? Can you catch yourself and switch your behavior, switch your attitudes, learn a new work habit so that you can be more effective and so that you will feel more of an internal, intrinsic sense of accomplishment? One thing to think about is, if you're going to be using rewards, figure ways to lessen the rewards over a period of time. Reward less often, less lavishly, and yet still maintain the expectations that you had when you were giving out rewards. It may take days, weeks, months. Over a certain period of time, you have to feel out what it is for your students that you can wean them off of the external and bring them to that sense of internal. Encouragement and appreciation instead of rewards. Now think about that. Think about what can you say and what can your body language say to students that you might say is the equivalent of a reward, and yet it tends to build a sense of internal motivation, so that the student is no longer looking for you to give approval, but you are encouraging. You are appreciating their behavior or their motivation. You're appreciating what they have done, and they start building a sense of, okay, I can continue doing that, and I want to continue doing that. Consider this possibility. What if you gave out privileges based on how much you can trust, rather than incentives and rewards? Now, to a young child, it all might look the same, but it really isn't, and you might have to explain it. No, I'm giving you this privilege because you have earned it. I'm not giving you a reward. I am giving you a privilege because I know now that you're capable of this, and I expect it in the future too. What else can teachers do? Well, in terms of actually standing up and doing instruction in the classroom, what kind of things can a teacher do to get more motivation at an internal level? How about we tell students why they're learning something? Oh yeah, let me explain to you how what we're about to learn is relevant to you personally and to your future. Also, as a teacher, I plan and I deliver lessons in a multimodal way. What I mean here is I appeal to different senses in my teaching. So I make sure there are visuals, I make sure there are words and pictures, I make sure there are things that students can listen to. Because students come in different sizes, shapes, and preferences when it comes to learning. And so the more different types of learning experiences you can give them, the more apt you're catching what motivates them. And let me also emphasize, it's not just eyes and ears, there's also, for some students, that sense of kinesthetic movement can help them feel like, yes, I want to get this done. What else? How about teaching students to set their own goals and encourage them to do it themselves. Once they have learned how to do it, encourage them. Okay, we have this to learn and we have this amount of time. Can you set yourself some goals of what you're going to get out of it? Can you set some goals about how much time you need for each step along the way? Because in doing that, we're beginning to encourage them to do it yourself. You can. I'll teach you the skills. You can start learning to do it yourself. Clear expectations. Now, that means that you step back and you look at, what am I expecting from my students? Am I making it clear to them what I expect? And that can take many, many forms. One thing that's very popular these days is to set your expectations in the form of a rubric. I've got a chart here and it tells you that I will award this many points for this category of learning and this many points for this category of learning, etc. You make it very clear what it takes to achieve a certain level of success, and then they can begin to internalize and say, okay, I want to achieve the very highest, so I need to apply certain works and study skills to reach that highest level to get maximum points. And you've made it very, very clear what it takes to get there. And as I've mentioned before on other topics, this idea of feedback that is quick and very clear and consistent and realistic. These are the sort of things that students not only appreciate, but then it helps them internalize. As over time they begin to internalize, yeah, I can give myself that kind of feedback. If you're going to give rewards, come back to that topic. If you're going to give rewards, how about the rewards have learning value? The reward is you get to go to the learning centers. You get to go to the library. You get to do some independent research. You know, not tokens, not candy, not smiles and hugs. No, the reward is you get to do something independent that will have learning value. Because that is what we're here for. We're here to develop your learning skills and your successes. And to do that, I need to help you, the student, get that sense of internal ability, internal motivation, that it's worth it to learn, and it's worth it to put in all that effort to learn and to learn well. But don't worry, I'll help you every step of the way. So, those are the hints. There's a lot of practical applications that you can learn about, but check out supplemental materials, check out review questions, and look back at some of these topics and how they relate to previous videos on similar topics.